I'm thinking, why, yeah, Superman's dead, yeah, living in my head,
Hey, it's Solta. We're at X Fest here. We've got OLP, Jeremy, we got Steve, drums and guitar, and you guys are out here in Brandon.
Yes, we love Brandon. Been here once before. On April 7th, 1994. Yowza, that's a long time ago.
You actually remember that?
I do. It was the day Kurt Cobain was found dead.
And
I was in Brandon, biatch.
And it's your birthday.
It was my birthday. I wasn't that upset, obviously. I love Nirvana, but I'm not going to cry over it, you know?
Yeah, there you go. So you guys are here, you're getting out, got the new album coming out. Let's talk about that for a little bit. What's it like getting back in the studio and putting out another one?
It's been great. I mean, we spent the last 2.5 years working with Rain down in Los Angeles at his place, and, you know, we kind of chipped away, you know, session per session, and we ended up making a record that we really like, you know? I mean, this record is a performance-based album, and if you come see us live, you get an idea of what, you know, what the record kind of speaks for itself, you know what I mean? It's easy to play.
How different would you say this record is compared to the past ones?
The record, this one is definitely different than our last record, for sure. It's funny, a lot of people have compared it to our first record, Naveed, and said, was there a conscious effort to do that? And there wasn't at all, but I think the reason maybe why it has some of that same spirit is because it was just the four of us. You know, we produced it ourselves. It was just us. It was me jamming with the three of us jamming in Toronto and then coming to LA and playing with Rain. And it was just the four of us in the room. You know, there was no outside producer, no record company going, let me hear stuff. It was just the four of us. The same way when you're 15 and you're in your garage. So because of that, the record definitely has a different vibe and sound and color.
So which do you prefer? Do you prefer, you know, doing it all your own and being able to handle everything? You got these bigwigs telling you how you want things to sound?
Well, I mean, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
There's benefits of both, you know. It's like the challenge we had was, you know, a producer, one of the main things a producer does is they're an outside opinion, you know, not as attached to the music. So we found a way to get around that, and it worked with us because we did the record in stages and we wouldn't listen to stuff when we went away. But I think there's good about both. We definitely love doing it this way. We might use an outside producer again in the future, but this way was everything we did in making this record, the writing, the recording, was completely pretty much the opposite of the way we made the last record, and it was good for us. Yeah.
Yes, I think that making this record this way, I think after making 6 albums with 6 albums with great engineers and producers and all the stuff that we got to learn from, it was time to go on our instinct, and it worked.
So what's the next step?
This works. I mean, the fact that we're a mom and pop organization now. You know, we record our records, we put them out, we get involved on so many different levels now, and everything is so transparent in front of us, where all the dough goes, all that stuff. It's just so much more, you know, easy in a sense, because, you know, we've been through all the learning curves of what you need to know to be a band, and to be able to see where everything goes and have a say in everything makes so much difference, and it makes it you know, it's a great place to be after, you know, 15 years.
Now, speaking of 15 years, I mean, when you guys jumped in the industry, everything's a little different than it is now. The labels were huge back then. You needed the recording contract. Nowadays, you got the internet. For lack of a better term, you had the Napster of things where you can download music. How has that kind of affected your career?
Well, I mean, in the terms of, you know, having your music get heard, that's bigger than it ever has been. If you're a band, for the opportunity to get heard is amazing. The thing that sucks about it is it's just so hard to try and afford to develop as a band, to play, you know, more than twice a week somewhere, or to play to have enough money to be able to cross the country in a van. You know, that part of it has gotten a lot more difficult. And you know, the old days, a label would sign you and give you a big chunk of money to go on the road, and that doesn't happen anymore. So I mean, I think in terms of the actual music side of it, it hasn't changed, but in terms of getting heard and getting a chance, it's a lot more difficult.
What do you guys think of the whole digital downloads? Do you think that's a great way of getting the music out there compared to the traditional CD, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to get it out there. You know, I think in terms of it's a good medium, but again, with the internet and everything, everybody has an opinion now. It's so flooded that it's really hard to find stuff. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's not like sitting down and putting a record on in the headphones, and it's a ritual experience that it used to be. That kind of the way to listen to a record now is 1,000 different ways. You can either be jogging or hear it on your computer or be in your car, and I think, you know, the therapy of music is just easier to get from all the aspects, but the actual old school ritual is kind of lost a little bit, but, you know, that's life.
Yeah, I mean, I think from the minute people started making music, the way people get that music and hear it, it's always been changing. I mean, 100 years ago, there was no way to put on a record and listen to. You could only go see it live. So I'm sure when records came out, you know, that was a big question. Like, well, now people don't have to come see you play live. So it's always changing, and there's good and bad with that. But I think you just need to accept it and figure out how to make it the best it can be. I mean, it is tough. Like, you know, we were at Walmart today, and it's the whole thing with trying to get whatever you can as cheap as you can. And I know there's a lot of people out there that downloading stuff, they're like, well, I don't got the money for it. Why am I going to pay for it? And that's that whole mentality, whether it's with music or movies. I understand where it's coming from, but it's a tough one because even for a band like us to survive, like, sometimes we're on the brink of surviving even, you know, and we're doing it at a pretty big level. So the problem with, you know, people keep downloading things illegally, you're going to be left with like 3 bands to choose from, you know. So that is the one part about digital downloads that's scary, but we'll figure it out, you know.
For sure. And you guys mentioned, you know, 15 years has been a long time, you guys, and I'm sure you've changed as people. I'm sure back in the day when you released Naveed, it was going out, playing the show, partying, and now from what I'm hearing, you guys are all about the family now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think in terms of, I don't know if we've always been pretty serious about the music side of things, and we've never been really a party band, but Steve likes to sleep with lots of chicks for us.
I'm single. Where am I going tonight in Brandon? Where should I be?
I'm sure we could find many young single chicks for you, or not even single, but we can find some for you.
Can I hold you to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go on the town. All right, you and me. Now, I want to talk about this because this is probably the craziest thing I've heard. Now, we've had a lot of concerts. We've had X-Fest 1, 2, and 3 come through the town, and a lot of the bands will show up half an hour before they got to go on. They'll do what they got to do. They'll play it, and they'll leave. You guys showed up today and went golfing.
Yeah, man. We went golfing at Shiloh, the wonderful military base over there. And you know what? I mean, that's we got here at noon or something, or 11 or 10 or something. And that's what it's all about, you know. We got to spend some